Jason, great to see you, man. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for the time.
It's so interesting, right? Because these worlds that are in this kind of thriller, horror movie, supernatural worlds, they've all that world's always been around. But there's
Mhm.
been such a big kind of like surge in popularity of that content these days. So like what is that like for you now, working on something that from the Stephen King world at a time where there's such a big kind of appetite for that content?
Yeah, well, I mean, anytime you get a chance to work on a Stephen King project, I mean, it's such an honor, it's a pleasure, and it's a responsibility, I think, to try and do these characters justice and do these adaptations justice for these fans that have read these books and have fallen in love with these characters. So, well, maybe less falling in love with Tony, but they fell in love with the rest of
I
the
was about to
characters.
say, man, you're such a nice guy, and I feel like you're a good actor, right?
Oh, thank you very much.
Isn't that like the best thing to think about? Like if someone recognizes you from the show and just looks at you and it's like, what the hell? I feel like that's a good thing, right? Because it means you did your job properly.
Yeah, it's so funny. So this is the first real like villain that I've had the chance to play, and I have such a laugh all the time, even doing like ADR. Well, we're finished recording lines, and then the text will be like, "Dude, I hated you in this. Like, really good work." I was like, "Thank you, man." I'm like, only in this industry is it like, "Yo, you're so unlikable." It was great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I feel like it's funny too because it's like with the villains, right, Jason? People will be like, "Oh, misunderstood. Is he a villain?" Like, no, this
Mhm.
guy sucks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This guy, this I think, and what I love about this character is he's the only character on the show from the Institute standpoint that enjoys what he's doing or gets a sense of like thrill in exercising his authority and his power over these kids. And it was just such a fun dynamic to play.
Absolutely. So it's interesting too because I find it like you talked about like the privilege to work in kind of the Stephen King world and everything, but like at some point you're going to get these scripts, right, for the Institute, right?
Mhm.
And depending on the project you'll get them in different kind of wavelengths. Maybe they'll give it all to you, maybe it's like week to week, like it really depends on the project. But like getting these scripts and then like going to production, right, that script to screen journey, like what is that like for you on a project like this, like seeing it eventually like come to life after reading it?
Yeah, well, that for me is always like I think the tough challenge with film and television. It's you get these scripts very spread out. You film, for example, you'll film episode two, and you'll have no idea really what's happening in episode four, right?
Yeah.
So it's just trusting your writers and your producers and directors, and in this case. Ben Cavell and the rest of his writing team, I thought, did a remarkable job on this
Yeah.
adaptation. And Jack Bender just made everything so easy because he knows exactly what he wants, has a great way of communicating what he wants, and he still lets us have the freedom to deliver that however we want to deliver that. So, um, yeah, it's just committing to the script that you do have and eagerly anticipating them giving you the next one.
So, oh my god, like that was a perfect segue to my next question. It's almost like, what are you doing? Like, it's almost like you knew what I was going to ask. Well, no, because it's like it's an adaptation, right? But
Mhm.
this is not a book. This is a live
Right.
action
Mhm.
television series, right? So there will be similarities,
Mhm.
and there will be or could be differences, right, from the original source material.
Mhm.
How do you navigate that from a storytelling perspective? Does it feel like a tug of war? Do you not think about it? Do you think about it? Like, I'm just curious about that when you work on something that had original source material. It's
Mhm.
fascinating to think about.
Absolutely. I got a little lucky in the sense that Tony is not really a big part of the book, and
Yeah.
he's a bigger part of the series.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I definitely benefited from the book to screen adaptation.
Yep.
But I do find so I made the mistake of trying to simultaneously read the book and the script, and I just discombobulated myself. So I had to pull back on the book while we were shooting, and then I got back into it afterwards. But I really do think that if you are a fan of the book, I
Yep.
think they did a phenomenal job at keeping everything that makes that book what it is,
Yep.
while making like every adaptation, as you were saying, is going to have certain things that they change and certain
Yep.
creative liberties that they take. But I think this one, does it with while still preserving the heart and soul of this story. And I think that's the coolest part about this.
There's a lot of elements, a lot of genres with this. You know, we could say it's thriller. There's the supernatural. There's a lot there, right? You know what I mean? There's an eerie component of this show. I don't know if eerie is like a genre, right? But there's an eeriness to the show. I think you can agree with me.
Absolutely.
When do you notice the eeriness of this show? Is it like when you're on set? Is it just when it's on the page? Because that's the thing. That's a big takeaway from the show.
Absolutely.
It's got this like, and I think it's like, you know, part of the MGM Plus family, right? Where like a show like From also does that too. You know what I mean? Like there's this eeriness, right?
Yeah, I think absolutely. For me, I mean, it's eerie on the page, but once you walk onto the sets, once you are surrounded by everything, that's when for me anyway, that's when it really was brought to life in that kind of way. And that kind of like, you look around and you're like, oh yeah, we're really doing this. And again, in my case, having the opportunity to play the much darker side of the show, it was a really interesting shift for sure. Like you'd walk onto the set, especially the back half of the Institute. I think just the physical environment adds so much to the creepiness. And then you add the elements of what it is that is going on and taking place in these rooms and in these testing centers. I think eerie is a great description because it's also, I wouldn't call it horror in the sense, because, you know, Stephen King, you automatically assume you're getting a horror show. And I think this one, it's real human people doing terrible things that brings that creepiness to the show. And I think all that together is what made it feel as eerie as it does.
And it's interesting too, right? Because the show's going to come out soon, so they're going to see the eeriness soon on MGM Plus. But like, it's interesting, right? Because I'm a big music guy and I used to go to concerts all the time. And a big thing for me was when my favorite band, when it was announced that they will be in my city in 3-4 months, right? Like the announcement of the tour was like an event in itself, right?
Right.
So there's rumblings about MGM Plus, the Institute, and everything, and then there's kind of like, then it gets real, right? Like it's coming out, Ben Barnes, Stephen King adaptation, right? And there's this excitement about the fact that like we know it's coming out in July, right? And and then there's like Comic-Con and all that stuff, right? So like I'm wondering, like, do you think about that from an acting perspective? I know you think about like other things, but it's like the event itself becomes like the announcement.
Well, you know what?
Watching it.
This is, if you find yourself in a position where you're working on something that has that sort of buzz, then it's super dope, right? Like this is probably a first for me in terms of a project that's coming out that already has so much excitement and hype surrounding it. It's been a blast. And for me, I'm always excited to see the final product because I want to see how it turned out, how it was made, and also maybe for people that aren't so familiar with the process of making film and making television, a lot of it can really change in the editing room. So there's been a lot of times where I go into watching a project I'm a part of where I think I know exactly what to expect, and then it translates so differently. And I'm always curious. I always love to see it. And I know this one, I've seen the majority of this show, and it's very cool. So I'm excited for the release. I'm excited to see how the audience responds, and hopefully fans of the book and non-fans can agree that they love the adaptation.
And then last question, like that cast is amazing. Like what was it like working with everyone? And it's interesting, right? Because you know, you might have some scene like you work more with certain people than other people. You might have a couple of years with some people, but like take me through kind of like the process of maybe the core people you got to work with. Like what was that like specifically?
Yeah. So first and foremost, being that close to Mary Louise Parker and watching her as she does her thing and watching how she operates on set was such a fascinating and wonderful experience.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you can't help but learn. You'd have to like sit there and close your eyes to not learn something when you get to work with Mary Louise Parker. But I had a lot of my time was spent with the young Mr. Joe Freeman, and that boy is fantastic. He's first and foremost, he is just a really great dude, and it was a blast, man. It was a lot of fun getting to know Joe and working with Joe, and um, I think the dynamic between Luke Ellis, played by Joe Freeman, and Tony is so fascinating, man, because Joe brings such a wonderful, youthful energy to the role and simultaneously plays a vulnerability and a defiant strength that is just, it's fun to watch, man. It was fun to be there on the day, and it was fun then to watch the final product. And that goes for everyone else, like all the kids on the cast. You got Finn, Simone, Arlen, and Vigo, who plays legitimately a 10-year-old. You want to talk about a funny day on set is anytime I have to talk shit as Tony to this poor little 10-year-old boy. But it was great, man. Everyone got along so well. And you would think there's like an element of awkwardness or tension or whatever because of the content that we're shooting, but it was a breeze. And yeah, the co-stars are the whole reason for that, because if they sit there feeling like you're actually bullying them, then that can go a very different way. But it was a blast.
Absolutely. And I can't wait for people to see the episodes of The Institute on MGM Plus. Jason, so great chatting with you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, man. This was a blast.
Your Instagram account is just your name if people want to keep up to date with everything?
It is. Instagram is the only social media I have, and I am Jason Diaz.
Well, you are Jason Diaz.
I am Jason Diaz.
Yeah. Well, this has been Pop Turnitive. YouTube.com/PopTurnitive for these episodes. You can catch Jason Diaz in The Institute. Episodes rolling out soon on MGM Plus. Until next time, this is Jason Diaz and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnitive. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnitive on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.